Right, so it's a force of 105 newtons. It's applied horizontally to a 20 kilogram box. Oops, sorry. Let me go ahead and draw the box on a flat floor. Okay, so there is a force of 105 newtons, and then with an acceleration of 3 meters per second square. And we have to find the coefficient of friction between the box and the floor. And that implies that we should have some sort of friction, and that should be a kinetic friction. Now, of course, we are asking for the coefficient of friction. But before we get to the final stage, we should ask a question before we look at the coefficient of friction. What kind of question we should ask? What kind of easy question that we should really ask? What kind of numbers we can get within 1 or 2 steps? Normal force, all right, sure. So we have a normal force, which is right here. And in this case, the normal force will equal to 196, because it is simply m times g, right? 20 kilograms times 9.8 meters per second square. That's a good start. Which is what? 196 newtons. Why? Why should we look at the normal force? Is there a reason, or is it something that we could calculate? Okay, you can do that. Okay. Now there is an other thing that we can also ask. If we know the acceleration and we know the mass, we can get what? The net force. Okay. If we have the mass and we have the acceleration, so that means we must be able to get the net force. And the net force here, it's going to be 60 newtons. Okay. All right. So now, so going back to the normal force, can we use the normal force to find out the friction? Well, that would be the case if we know the number for mu. And yet we don't. Well, that's why we need to find out the net force, because when we look at the net force is basically on the horizontal exponent. And if you add them all together, that would be 60 newtons. And what are the forces on the x component? You have the 105 newtons minus the kinetic friction. That's equal to 60. So what must be the kinetic friction in this case? It must be 45 newtons, and that should be a 45 newtons. And then it's going to be the opposite direction. So in order to find mu, since we know it's kinetic friction, we can label them here. So we can simply say, hey, that's 45 newtons. We have the mu, and your normal force is 196 newtons. So you can go ahead and find out the mu by simply doing 45 divided by 196. And that should give you 0.23 as your mu. Again, the coefficient of friction does not have any units. Okay? So once again, I hope you can see the pattern right here. That is, how do we make physics a bit more straightforward? Okay, is that, yes, they're asking you for mu, but when you analyze the question, when you analyze all the given information, you have to be a bit nosy and ask yourself what kind of number is totally within reach. And the more ready you can provide those numbers, then the easier the questions will be to you when you're doing them. Okay.